'Tis a question for the ages. Rotos or Sanguine Maria? Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends. We are here on the free to pause account to ask very important questions. First of all, thank you for Raid for sponsoring this video. You guys are awesome. Definitely appreciate you. We are going to be talking about, well, those of you who have not had a chance to check out the video, I'll try to link it right here, and I'll probably link it right after this video as well at the end. I pulled a Rotos from the Prism shards. I got the free Prism, and I managed to get Rotos from it, which was absolutely amazing, which was very confusing because I'm about to get Sanguine Maria from the fusion. Now, I am not done with the fusion as of the filming of this video. I need 50 fragments left, but I've got 400 gems right now, and I have, well, I'm getting close on the dragon tournament. I should get these extra 40 gems, which give me 1 extra energy, and I have calculated it out. And with just the gems I have currently on the account right now, plus like the 2 I need to earn over the course of the next, hour or so, I can finish these guys today. And if I don't have to finish them today, I've got 2 days to finish this event. I believe I've got another day to finish the Gear Hunters event as well. So I can finish both of these without an issue and get Sanguine Maria. So Sanguine Maria will be gotten on this account. So I need to figure out which one is with. So we're going to talk a little bit about my fusion journey on this account because I said I was not going for this fusion. So I changed my mind at some point in time. We'll talk about that quickly, and then we will talk about the choice that I'm going to have you help me make. So the choice to go for it started actually here. We had a raid up on Wixwell who would be amazing for this account. And I decided to yeet, 10 shards per, summon event thingy, what's it, for the day for him. And I decided that, I was close enough to being able to make the summon rush that I decided to do the math. And the math told me that if I did the summon rush, I actually had enough, because I'd only skipped the Ice Golem tournament and the Dungeon Diver tournament at that point in time, because I'd actually done the gear enhancement event and one other event as well I had done, I believe the arena event. So getting this one and getting everything else was doable. And I said, you know what? Let's grab Sanguine Maria because I believe I can do it without risking Leonardo. And as I got more and more sacreds, in fact, I've gotten 3 or 4 sacreds from the clan boss this week, which has been amazing. So nice to see those raking in again. And this is why I tell you guys that there's no conspiracy about clan boss. It is totally RNG. Sometimes what happens is you go a long stretch without them, and then you get lucky and you get lucky again. So got lucky with a couple of ancient pulls as well, managed to do the summon rush, and from there it has been managing energy, watching my events, and making sure I have enough to do this. The only thing I might have done to overextend myself slightly is I was really hoping to pull Sanguine Maria today, which it looks like I should be able to do, but it's going to be kind of close because I'd like to get this extra legendary book. And I am at 6,700 whatever points. I will get 350 for Thorn, and then I will get enough for Maria, another 500. That will be enough for this. I'm not going to be coming in 3rd or 2nd. I would have liked to have come in 2nd, actually. That would have been cool, but I'm not going to be able to do that, so I'm not going to get these extra Radiant Sun Lilies. That's fine. Honestly, the legendary book is really all I want from that. And I have, I'll have Sanguine Maria, which will be absolutely nice. But I'll also have a Rotos. And the 2 of them are very similar in a lot of ways. So let's talk about the kits on both of them, and let's compare the 2 of them. And then I'm going to let you guys vote to help me decide which one am I going to be building on this account. First of all, we're going to start with Rotos. He's the OG. He still looks absolutely amazing. He's got that ghost-like thing to him as well. Got the blue here to him. Obviously, he pairs with Siphi, which I do not have, but that makes this all the more interesting because that means that he's good, but he's not absolutely busted, because with Siphi, he's pretty darn busted. So what does Rotos have going for him, and what does Sanguine Maria have going for her? Well, Rotos has got the A1 with decreased defense if you build him with some accuracy, and he's got it for HP and attack on the A1 as the damage, and he has a 25% chance of getting an extra turn. So he has a chance of getting an extra turn with this particular skill, very much like a Sanguine Maria. So that's nice. It's not as good as Sanguine Maria's, but it is a 25% chance of getting an extra attack. So he can still go nuts hitting this A1. He's got a 2-turn cooldown, starts off as a 3, so he doesn't even need this booked to be very effective. Attacks one enemy, destroys the target's max HP by 20%, and adds that HP to this champion's own max HP. And there's a bunch of extra stuff down here, but basically it caps at a maximum of 60 per 1,000 HP. It can work on bosses, and on bosses it becomes a fixed level of HP that he gains when he uses the skill, and it's basically approximately 4 hits, and he's got that maxed out. And that maxing out is important because, first of all, it increases the damage he does. So he slowly but surely does more and more damage. But it also increases the ability for him to take a hit because HP is the best currency for taking damage. So that's going to make him tankier and tankier. And finally, 4-turn, 3-turn cooldown, 40% extra damage when booked, which is nuts. This has also got like 30% extra damage, and this has actually got 20% extra damage. Booking Rotos is worth a ton of damage. This attacks one enemy, ignores 60% of the target's defense, which is huge. You're also going to build him in probably something that's going to ignore defense. So you're going to get 25% extra ignore defense from something like a lethal, for example, or something else along those lines. You're going to also want him with Helm Smasher, so you've got 50% right there. So he's got almost 100% ignore defense on this skill without really trying too hard. And then, that's going to be great for you. And that is going to mean that this skill is going to absolutely smack because ignoring defense is how you do damage in the end game. It also ignores unkillable and block damage. And the good news is he always ignores unkillable and block damage. There's no conditions to it. There's no only does it every 3rd turn. So from a reliability standpoint, he is very reliable. The problem you're going to have is he does need to slowly but surely ramp up to get God tier damage. He just does really good damage to start with, but he gets an extra turn if he kills an enemy with this one as well. And that is a guaranteed extra turn. No weird conditions, just got to kill somebody. He also blocks revive if he's got the maximum amount of HP. So in a longer arena fight, he eventually can block revive on a 3-turn cooldown that gives him an extra turn. So you can do some fun stuff with him, especially when this is on a 2-turn cooldown. You can pretty much do this every other turn to get extra HP. And once you've got your max HP, you can start going on to this to get those extra turns as you're killing things as well. Finally, he is tanky. He cannot take more than 50% of his max HP in a single hit, and he gets an extra turn if he takes that 50% damage on a single hit. Now, multi-hitters are the way you drop Rotos, but you can also get him a blessing that would actually make it harder for him to die as well, because the blessing that gives you the bone armor actually reduces the damage a little bit further after that 50% cut happens. So quite often it can take a triple hitter for him. Plus you can stick like Aspect of Siroth on him because that will drain the HP and drain the turn meter. But since he instantly gets an extra turn, it doesn't matter if he loses all the turn meter. So he has other ways to possibly survive, making him extremely tanky. And of course, he gets damage reduction from bosses and damage reduction even more if Siphi's on the same team. I'm not going to have Siphi. The other thing that Siphi does for him is Siphi will cleanse any debuffs on him at the start of his turn whenever she's on the team as well. That is something that's a really weird collab because Siphi needs to be on the team for that to happen. So Siphi basically empowers Rotos. Rotos doesn't do much for Siphi other than become a god tier damage dealer because Siphi happens to be there. So it's kind of a weird synergy, but it actually works pretty well. And it's still relevant in Arena years after these two champions were formed. So Rotos, very good champion. He's going to use similar gear to what Sanguine Maria would work. Not quite the same, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Sanguine Maria's kit. But it is going to be difficult to build 2 single target damage dealers for the undead on this account right now. So obviously, I think eventually I'm going to want to build both of them, but I need to figure out which one I want to build first. Rotos has got some pretty good strengths, but let's talk about Sanguine Maria. Now here we've got Sanguine Maria, and to be fair to Rotos, I think Maria is a better looking champion. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that Raid has gotten better with how they are using the textures and the lighting effects and the other stuff. I used to know the terms for some of these things, but you know, I like the little ghostly veil thing that she's got right there is kind of cool. I love the detail in this stuff. The fact that we got the blood stuff going right here. She is a really, really good looking champ. And I think that honestly, if I had to ask which one was better looking, I think she is a better looking champion than Rotos. She's actually walking as well. Not that that's a big deal, but again, this is a raid showing its age in some way, shape, or form, where they certainly have done a good job with Rotos, but they've done a better job with Sanguine Maria. So Sanguine Maria, again, is a attack-based champion. She is a force-based damage dealer, which to be fair is a difference that is actually notable. Sometimes it is better to have a force champion. Sometimes it's better to have a magic champion. That's probably the two you're really looking for. Unfortunately, spirit-based damage dealers are frustrating in arena, and these are kind of arena-focused champions. Although, to be fair, Rotos works really well in PvE as well. I actually use him in PvE in a couple situations. I love using him against the Scarab boss for some quick wins there sometimes. I love using him against the Immortal Dragon because he'll just kill any of the ads the Mortal brings up immediately, and then he goes back and starts killing the dragon again. So he can be really good for some PvE teams as well, in a very similar build that you might build him with for Arena. And I suspect Sanguine Maria, even with some of the nerfs in PvE, will still be useful in PvE situations as well. So A1 here is a triple hitter. Now, the triple hitter is nice. It actually means that Sanguine Maria can counter Rotoses in Arena. That triple hitter is going to be very valuable for killing a Rotos, and she has a 33% chance of granting an extra turn per hit. So this works out to about a 70% chance, it's just below 70% per attack of getting an extra turn if all you're doing is the A1. Now, as a result, the A1 damage has been nerfed slightly, and I don't think that was a horrible decision because, you know, if she was doing massive A1 damage and getting extra turns, that'd be kind of broken. But, you know, you can get 30% extra damage on this with the two books right here as well. Cannot gain an extra turn against bosses. Little unfortunate, but she has other ways to get extra turns as well. So this is not the worst thing that's going to happen to her as far as bosses are concerned. The A2 here attacks one enemy, ignores 33% of the target's defense, will ignore 99% of the target's defense if this is the every third turn. That is every third of her turn. So basically this, once this is on a 3-turn cooldown, you want to do something, do something, do this skill. Do something, do something, do this skill. She also gets stone skin and block damage, so she does not ignore unkillable ever. And you only get stone skin and block damage on every third turn, which is going to make tracking that a little difficult. But she can get through stone skin, which is something Rotos doesn't do. If the target is killed, it increases the cooldown of all enemies' skills by 3 turns. This effect cannot be resisted if it's on the turn number that's divisible by 3. So having some accuracy on her may not be too bad, because honestly, this is still going to do a good amount of damage. It's not the 60% ignore defense that Rotos has got. It could be a 99%, however. But even at 33%, that's a chunk of ignoring defense. Plus, you're going to give her in 25%-ish. Plus, you might give her Helm Smasher. So you're already talking about 83% ignore defense. You throw a Cat's Gaze on her, suddenly you're near 100% without a problem. If they get the Helm Smasher proc, you might get other ways as well in PvE where you can build up to 20% otherwise. So yeah, she can ignore a ton of defense, even without the natural, I'm ignoring 99% defense that she can do from that one. The other thing that's interesting to note is the ignore 95% of the defense. If you stack everything else together with that, and then she's versus a Harima who cuts that in half, her ignore defense being over 100%, it still means you're ignoring more defense than you might have otherwise because of a Harima. So she can counter a Harima to some extent with this. Unfortunately, she still cannot, I don't believe, no, she can crit a Harima. Harima can't be crit by Demon Spawn, so she can still crit a Harima as well. So she could be a very anti-Maria or anti-Harima champion could be kind of fun. Finally, 4-turn cooldown, bookable to 3, 30% more damage. Again, we got 30% more damage here as well. So she can get a bunch of extra damage, not quite as much as Rotos, but still a bunch of extra damage from books as well as the cooldowns. Attacks one enemy before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. This cannot be resisted by enemies with a number of buffs that is divisible by 3. So every once in a while, she will not need accuracy. Otherwise, you might want accuracy on her. The good news is that's a really cool ability. It could even strip Stone Skin if you can't strip Stone Skin otherwise. The bad news is it requires accuracy to be ultra effective, and that is a sheepable debuff. So removing buffs is a sheepable thing. So she could sheep herself. Now, Rotos can sheep himself with his A1, so they both have a sheep vulnerability. But she has an AoE sheep vulnerability, whereas Rotos's is only on his A1. And again, if you don't build him with accuracy, it may never come to pass as well, because that's the only thing that needs accuracy on him. She will attack all remaining enemies with less than 66% HP. So she gets that AoE attack against everybody if they have been whittled down just a little bit. And then she gets an extra turn if she's under a number of buffs divisible by 3. So she is very fiddly with this 3 number in multiple situations. But the extra turn, great if you can do it. Doesn't require you to kill somebody on this one. On the other hand, this one here requires you to kill somebody to do something kind of cool. And then this one here is just a random extra turn. So her extra turns are never guaranteed. Well, they're never guaranteed constantly. They're guaranteed under conditional circumstances, either just random generation on the A1 or the buffs divisible by 3 on this. So you need to be very conscious of what you do with her, how you buff her, and how you build her, and the teams you build around her, which is a lot more work. However, she also has this wonderful passive that each subsequent hit from this champion deals 33% more damage, stacks up to 99%, resets after the 99 damage bonus is applied. And this ticks through 0, 33, 66, 99. So there's actually 4 ticks in this. And then she has damage reduction that does the same thing. That's reduced from 33% to just 11% from bosses. So it is 0, 33, 66, 99. And versus bosses, it is 0, 11, 22, 33%. And then it resets when it's applied for the damage reductions are applied for the 3rd time. Whenever an enemy is revived, revives this champion with 33% HP and 66% turn meter. After being revived, places a true fear buff on all enemies, cannot be resisted or blocked. So she doesn't need accuracy, but she could benefit from it because some of her skills are conditional. Unless those conditions are met, they do require accuracy. So building her with accuracy wouldn't suck, but she doesn't need it explicitly. But she can revive. The self-revive gives her some additional survivability that you might not have with just the regular damage reduction. The damage reduction, again, gives her some fun survivability as well. She can do a ton of damage. She has plenty of weird multipliers. So basically, she might be able to out-hit Rotos initially. I suspect that Rotos over the long haul probably can do more damage and will be tankier overall, just the way his passive works. But you can see they are very similar champions in the roles they fill, how they fill the roles, how they manage to deal with doing damage in a single target to make them effective in a meta where single target damage dealers are generally frowned upon. And both of them look like they could be fun. Now, the one thing Maria has going for her that Rotos does not is she actually has an aura. And so she has a 33% attack aura in all battles. So other than that, very similar champions. Her base stats are a little bit better than Rotos's, but again, Rotos actually gets powered up by his HP for damage, so that makes some sense that his HP is also kind of low, but it scales up. He's got decent attack at least, so you got that going for you. Otherwise, very, very similar champions. So looking here on my account, as far as Legendary is concerned, I've got Rotos, I've got UDK, I've got Fabian, I've got Morgane. I will have Maria soon. At some point in time, I'm going to have a Euros, but I'm not worried about that. That's going to be months down the road. I've got a good selection of the epics. In fact, for the most part, I have most of the epics right here. And the ones I don't have, outside of Ostrox, who would be kind of fun to get. I think I'd actually like to get an Ostrox at some point in time. I've got the ones that are effective. In Gorgorab, I have a Seeker I haven't built yet, but I've got one. I've got a Vogoth I haven't built yet, but I've got one. I've got an Annex. I've got a Catacomb Counselor. He's an ally attacker, is not too bad. And the rares, well, there's not a lot of great rares here. Doomscreech wouldn't be bad to have and hold on to one copy of at some point. I've got a Frozen Banshee I built really, really early on. I don't use her too much anymore. So I've got some fun undead champions here on this account. And really, what I need is somebody to do more damage than just Husk down here. Husk has been great. Husk has been a solid damage dealer for Faction Wars, but he caps out because he is a max HP hitter. So against the waves, that's not great. And he also caps out because his max HP is one of the worst max HP damages in the game. It just happens to also be an AoE stun, making him still very, very useful. So I need to determine if I want to build my Rotos or I want to build my Maria. And that's probably going to be first, because honestly, they're both really good champions, and having both of them on the account will give me flexibility both for what I might want to do in Faction Wars, but also it'll give me options in Arena. Is Maria going to work better with this team, or is Rotos going to work better with this team? And having those options are going to be good. So that is where you guys, the viewers, come in. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for being absolutely amazing. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you like fun videos like this where we talk about some champions and break some fun stuff down in Raid. I want to build them both eventually, and honestly, I think it'd be kind of a fun video to compare the two of them. On this account, it's going to be hard to do. On my main, I've already got 2 Rotoses built, so I'm going to build Sanguine Maria, and I'll compare them at that point in time. I will probably do a champion guide on Sanguine Maria in the next week or 2 on that account. It might be a little bit dependent upon what's going on with Leonardo, but I will get to that at some point in time, especially if you guys tell me down below you would love to see an endgame account comparison of Sanguine Maria versus Rotos. I think that'd be kind of fun. Maybe I can do it on the free-to-play as well, because if they can get them both built at the same time. I've got similar constraints here. I am certainly focused on getting Leonardo. Leonardo is going to help this account tremendously, and so is Rotos, and so is Sanguine Maria. So I am going to have a So I am going to have a community poll up on my channel. I will try to link to it somewhere down below. I'll probably actually link to it in the description down below. So check in the description down below, and or just check my community tab here and vote and let me know which one you think I should build first. And that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to listen to you guys about what I should be doing on this account. You know, I'm not going to do this all the time, but I'm going to listen to you guys to see which you'd prefer. And that's going to be a combination of who do you think would be more impactful with this account, but also which would you actually like to see a little bit of content on an account like my free-to-play, where we're climbing in Arena. I'm hoping one day to actually try to make it into Gold Tag Team. I'm enjoying Live Arena, and I'm enjoying having more and more options to use in Live Arena. And that's why, for example, April is getting built on this account, because she's going to be an interesting option for Live Arena on this account. And, you know, yeah, having Sanguine Maria and Rotos would both be kind of fun, but I'm curious which one you think I should focus on just a little bit more. And if it matters, just to show you guys here, I can't show you here. Let's move my camera. Boom, I'm gone. And, you know, I have the same crit damage here. I will have the same crit damage shortly. As you can see, I have 1100 medals right here. I will be buying one of these in CVC, and I'll be buying the other one later on. It might even depend on what the winner of this poll is, which one I buy, although I think I'm probably going to go Force, because that's going to help my Empress a little bit more. And, you know, so we are going to get those taken care of, and so they will be on pretty much equal footing. I gotta then clean up some of this stuff here, get all these to level 6. Possibly even the resistance as well, because it would be nice to actually be able to build resistance on this account. So let me know down below, and in fact, let me know down in the comments as well. I will definitely count folks in the comments, but I will appreciate you guys voting on that poll as well. Poll will open up when this video opens up. Probably give it a day or 2 to figure out who wins. And hopefully there's going to be a champion training event coming up, so hopefully I can make whichever one wins this poll a 6-starter, or a 6-star, I should say, in the next, you know, that next event, so that we can get working on either one of them. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. One of the best communities in Raid, and, you know, definitely a bit of a different video on progress on my account. but this is one of the few ways I thought would be actually fun for you guys to get involved in helping me shape my account. So let me know down below. I don't think either one is a bad option. I think they both have their strengths, they both have their weaknesses, and they're going to require very similar gear, which is part of the reason that it's going to make really hard for me to build both of them at the same time, especially given some of the other nukers that I've had to build on this account recently. So appreciate you guys, much love, and until the next video, I am Bront, CatHerder.